right, I have arrived in Tempe, Arizona. This is our next job right here. This is what we're going to be doing. Removing a few of these palm stumps, and we're going to widen this driveway 15 feet. We have Mike here. He's going to do the excavation and grading. We're going to come all the way back here. So this is going to make a nice RV parking, basically. We're going to go back here behind the gate. We've already demoed a little bit right here, loosen up this little raised planter that was here. And there was a double gate hanging here. We've pulled those off and moved them into the back. We're going to come right back here with the new concrete. Got to pull these stepping stones out. That pad around that AC is going to stay. We're going to pull the stepping stones out from under it though, and then try to finish up underneath that front edge of that unit. The concrete's going to go all the way right to the edge of this window right here. This is where it stops. So that's it, man. That's the whole package. I've got my power trowel for this one. Pretty much it's me, Doug, my brother. That's about it on this job site, getting it ready and pouring it out. And that's why sometimes you get the machine, you get rid of a couple finishers. That's what we're doing here. Hopefully this little S70 will be able to knock these stumps out. That's going to be interesting to see. If not, I'm going to have to go get like a stump grinder maybe. So we're going to line up right about here, it looks like. All right, let's get down to business. Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. On this particular job, I traveled to Tempe, Arizona to knock this one out. And I got a few new guys on this one. I had to get some local recruits out here to kind of get this job done. And I got really lucky. These guys were good and eager, and they wanted to work. So there wasn't a whole lot of dirt to remove out of this job. It was just kind of nice. We did everything. We did a nice clean dirt load to start with. It was probably like a half load really. Then the balance of the debris, like the roots, just the trash, the railroad ties, that all went into a separate load. The railroad ties are considered hazardous waste, so they have to go to a special place for those. We got all the palms out of there, but there was one stump in there. We don't know what it was, but it wasn't coming out with that tractor. Right here at the gate, where there's a double gate swing here on both sides of the column, he's going to inevitably put a opener on there, remote opener on those gates. So we do run conduit from column to column. And that's going to be our break point. And you can see in the background that crane lifting something over the house behind us. I don't know what they were doing exactly. Probably might have been a jacuzzi or a pool going in the backyard. I'm not real sure. Or maybe an AC system. I noticed a lot of the ACs were on the roofs of the houses here in Tempe. So that's the break point right there where the gates will set. The water's going to run both directions from there. There is an alley behind this house, so actually the backyard is designed to run to the alley, and then the front of the house runs to the street. So that stump was pretty stubborn. What I ended up doing is I got the Sawzall with the pruning blade, and I just started chopping away at it. And here's my doweling technique. I'm doing these dowels every 4 feet, so it's every other bar. All right, we are on day 2, 7 a.m. in the morning. This is where we left it yesterday. Found a sprinkler right down here. Tested the sprinkler system, so we're gonna plug that. Gonna use one of these male threaded plug 1/2 inch. That should solve that problem. Tie some rebar, compact, get concrete tomorrow morning. Let's do it. So we just plugged the sprinkler line that fed that palm and the trees and bushes that was in that corner. Now we're running the plate compactor on this. On the pour, because when I came out here from Fort Mojave to Tempe, it's about a 4-hour drive to get to this particular job. I ended up, I brought a power trowel because I don't have my usual team with me. I've got some new guys, so in a situation where you don't know what you're gonna get for sure. I have a backup plan, and that's called the power trowel, and I end up using it here. It made it really easy. The only difference is I had to go back the next day to saw cut, which is easy also. So I mean, if you're tight on manpower and you don't have a lot of guys, power trowel and a saw, you can do this stuff kind of almost single-handedly. So what I do now on all my gas-powered equipment, right at the end of the work, I'll just close the fuel valve and I'll just let it starve itself out of fuel. And then it seems like that really is the trick. So you don't have to do a carburetor rebuild every few months. But I'm going to get rid of that I'm going to get rid of that gas-powered plate contact. I'm going to try to get me a battery-powered one. That way I don't have to deal with that. Right here, I just transferred the elevation from the driveway around the corner, giving it a little bit of slope to the front, right from that column. And then the rest, because the block is set level typically, although you want to double check all your block walls. If you're going to use grout lines kind of as a guide, double check the wall to make sure it is level. So I've ran into a few that weren't level, and it really can throw your slope off. So you want to double check that it is level. This one was, I checked it, and then I could just use, I could reference off of the mortar lines. This is 3/8 rebar, and I'm putting it at 2-foot centers. Made a lot of calls, coordinating this whole project. Talked to a lot of people out here, and the prices varied quite a bit on pumps, finishers, even concrete. I mean, I had a quote for a concrete pump at $950, and the concrete was going to be $3,500. I ended up finding another company that pumps it for free, because I used their concrete supplier. So that was a sweet deal, and I'd recommend using them. And it's they batch the concrete on site. It's mixed on site. They have hoppers. So that's the way to go, especially in the hot weather. Hot weather concrete, you get a really good fresh load. They ain't gonna explode on you. This time of year, you're gonna need accelerator. And this particular truck that we used for this concrete pour didn't have the accelerator on it because it was kind of an old school setup. All right, day 2 has come to a close, 10 a.m. in the morning. And we have got this prepped, 100% prepped, ready for concrete, compacted, 3/8 rebar, 2-foot centers. We have a power trowel in the back, a little 3-footer back here that we have just in case we need it. Because we are in Tempe, Arizona, so we don't have unknown team with us. So we do have a backup, and there it is. There's the backup plan, little 3-footer there. We ran a little conduit from each side of the gate. That way, if he wants, he can put a battery pack and a little solar panel here, and then have an electric gate opener. He just has to get power to both motors on each side, and that's pretty much all there is to it, putting a gate in. All right, here's all of our dowels.
Don't walk on my concrete.
Got some nice rebar dowels here. Put an angle shot off of the corner right here. Did it on the columns as well. There's all your dowels. Well, we'll see you tomorrow morning. 7 a.m. we can start the pour. Day 3 on the job site. We've got Armando already here, 7 a.m. And we got a new concrete finisher, Brandon.
How's it going, guys?
So we got a completely new team. We're gonna get this done. We got about 14 yards going in. And we got some new boots we're trying on. They're called treads.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like when you're wearing them.
I like this.
It came with these little bags just to slip in and out of your boot. But that's probably a one-time use. After that, you're gonna probably have to use grocery bags. I'll wrap up how I like these boots at the end. I typically like the slip-out, the boots where you take your boot off, then you put your rubber boots on. That's the type I usually use, is the regular boots, because they seem to leave a less of a footprint in the concrete when you're walking back, rotting it. But this cold out here. We're at like, I don't know, 35 degrees or so. So it's kind of nice having my boots on still and boots over it. So my feet are actually warmer right now. So I can't complain right now. Here's our pump. It's a big one, a 50 horsepower Reed. Our concrete mix we're using today, the concrete mix we're using today is a 1/2 inch aggregate, and it's a 3,500 PSI, and it's going to be mixed on site. So you've got, this particular truck has its own hoppers. It has a gravel, sand, cement, and water hopper. It's all going to get mixed as it comes down the corkscrew chute, and going to drop right into here. That's going to send it on back. This is borderline tailgate material here. You know, you could potentially back it in over this sidewalk and all the way back and just drop your load, but it's a little bit of a risk with this sidewalk. It could get crushed, and then you're going to be looking at replacing it. So we're going to play it safe and pump it in. And we've got all this rebar. If there's a soft spot in this soil that we can't find, you know, because we don't have anything that heavy as a concrete truck, the concrete truck might find that spot, and then you got a stuck truck, or, you know, you never know what's going to happen when you start backing in areas. I've had them turn sideways coming down side of houses, poor compaction after the house is built or whatever. You just never know. Anyway, let's get it on. Well, our truck has arrived. This is a 3,500 PSI. And because of the size pump they're using, this has actually got some big 1/2 inch to 3/4 rock in it, and it's pumping it just fine. So me and my brother are doing the rodding here on this, or you could call it screeding. We're gonna screed the whole thing, and whenever I get about 2 pulls out, I stop the pump, bowl float, and then continue. And in a pinch, that's all you'd need to do, really, is edge and bowl float, and then wait till it got hard enough to power trowel. But we ended up going the extra mile on this. We threw a Fresno on here and a funny trowel, you know, a few extra steps we probably didn't really need to do, but we were bored and cold, so we had to keep moving. We have my new guys is Armando, which he's the guy on the rebar pulling it up. And then Brandon's the other guy that we got, and he was running the shovel, and he was nailing that too, like he had did it before. So it made the screeding a lot easier. Like if you get someone mucking, you know, behind the screed and they're not that great at it, the guys on the screed's got to work twice as hard. But in this case, we didn't have to work very hard at all. There's Brandon right over there. He may shoot down to Cali with me too, he was saying. We'll see if he wants to go or not, but he did mention he would go there, so we might see him on some more jobs possibly.
These boots are holding up.
Yeah, they're doing fine. They're lightweight, durable, seems like. And my feet are still warm. That's the best part of it, really. So we're putting it in here pretty deep, because I think we figured about 13 yards based on 4 inches deep. And I think we ended up using like 14. So we we're probably about 4.5, 5 inches deep throughout, which is better than a 4 inch anyway. So it's kind of good. And fortunately, with these particular type of delivery trucks, you just mix what you're going to use. And both trucks, there was actually 2 trucks here on this site. Both trucks have a capacity of 10 cubic yards of materials and water. So, and when they go out, they're fully loaded, you know, so they can hit other jobs right after it. They try to coordinate a couple small ones here and there along with this, but they do have that extra concrete in case you need it. So you're not going to really ever come up short. In other words, you just use more concrete and you just pay more. Now, it would have been nice to have some accelerator to put in this concrete. That's why I went with the high PSI, to try to help it kick off with that. So basically what we had to do is stay a little bit longer. And since we were power troweling it, that's going to even take a little bit longer than hand troweling. Here's the final end of the driveway right here, and I just switched over to my 4-foot Milwaukee Red Stick to screed that final portion out. It's funny about this concrete versus a ready mix truck. You get a lot more bleed water. So basically, what's happening is it's going through. It's preset, on the ground rather than in a ready mix truck. It'll actually go through a preset in the barrel. Well, this is all happening on the ground, so you get a lot more bleed water out of it. I got to get these boots off now, and I want to see how easy it is because I've pulled some of these off before where you just start tearing chunks of rubber off trying to get them off of your boot, and I want to see if these things can come off without shredding. Oh, that came off nice. There it is, man. It came off. I might even be able to reuse these. Let's see. All right, so those boots are great for a cold weather concrete for sure. Or maybe you like to wear them at any time. If you're walking on rebar, you're going to want to keep your boots on and do the slip overs, because if you're walking on rebar without your boots, you're going to feel it in your feet by the end of the day. So there's a couple good reasons to use those. If you'll notice, a lot of times with the ready mix truck, you can pump the excess that's in the pumper hopper back into the concrete truck, but in this case, you can't do that. So they bring an inflatable bathtub, and then they dump all the spoils in there, and then it's our job to dispose of it. Well, there's Big Blue getting on it. Brandon's running Big Blue. He liked that one. He liked that Fresno. I got Armando on the edges. He's got a bucket of water and a sponge doing the detail cleanup. We're about an hour into the pour, and this is what it's looking like. It's an hour after they left the concrete mixer. Water's coming up. Brandon's just waiting for some of this water to evaporate, and he'll hit the rest of it with that Fresno. The nice thing about having all that bleed water, you can actually see which way the water's draining and if it's puddling or not. This concrete's drying really slow, so we were just waiting on it, really. Just kind of mess. We ended up having a nice 3-course meal for lunch, and really took our time about eating, and then still had plenty of time to work the concrete. We have some sliders. I think Doug's out on the sliders along the wall in the back. That's the only place the power trowel can't get, is on the edges where you've got to do an edge, or against the walls or against the house. So those are the two areas you've got to focus on by hand, and then the rest is just power trowel time. Armando's out there on the gravel cleaning up the spoils from the pour. Brandon's doing really well on the trowel work, and Armando never edged concrete before, but he does today because he was on the outside edge while I was power troweling. I wanted him to pick up that edge on my way out, so I showed him a couple quick pointers on that. There's the concrete. We'll kind of look at it. You can see how far my feet was actually sinking in. The power trowel knocks those feet marks out, but that was borderline almost too wet. It was close. If I had a pan, it would have been great, but I didn't bring the pan to put on here. Now out here, it was kind of spotty. There were some areas that were harder than others, but by the time we hit this thing about 3 or 4 times with the machine, it was pretty consistent. So I just walked off the concrete because it was getting a little too soft, shut the machine down, just knocked out my footprints. Now I'll wait a while longer before I hit it again with the machine. And this is the first time I really used this machine since I did a carburetor rebuild, and it worked great. So I mean, it was kind of sketchy not really putting it out and trying it out on a job, you know, and not knowing if my rebuild was good or not, but it worked, so I'm happy with that. But in the future, I think I'm gonna get me a battery operated power trowel also. So I'll have battery compactor, battery cutoff, battery power trowel. The concrete's looking pretty good here. Starting to take shape now. So what I do when I'm power troweling to get it as flat, the concrete as flat as possible, I'll do a half blade overlap. Like I'll float to the right, and then I'll push it out and overlap and come back left, and I'll do that all the way through. So the blade's overlapping on itself on each pass, and that's how you can get it really flat. Now I'm just walking out on the concrete along the side of the block wall. I'm gonna edge along that wall because water will be running down that side if they get rain here at all. It'll run along that little trough I kind of created with the edger. So this concrete's at the point where you don't really need the knee boards. You just walk out. Everybody can walk out there and do what they want to do, and then the power trowel just knocks out the footprints. And we'll do that when we broom it as well. Same idea. And I'll be using 100% horsehair broom on this one. So as I power trowel it, I don't want to get stuck back here with the machine because I want to get it off the site. And it was a little wetter in the back here. So we went ahead and funny troweled it after the power trowel, then let it set. We'll get everything broomed but the back area, or broom that last. The brooming, all it does is it makes it a non-slip finish, really. That way you're not out there on water and it doesn't get slippery. So we're all done with the power trowel now. And what I did before I stopped that is I turned the fuel off on that, and I just let it start itself out. That way maybe it'll start up next time I use it. We already pre-broomed about 4 feet out on this back edge because that was kind of setting up quicker than everything else. Now we'll just broom all the way out and it'll all blend together. There's the final brooming right there. Well, I have arrived on day 4 at the job site. It's pretty dark out right now, about 7 a.m., but we can still see a little bit. It is pretty much what it looks like coming in. We've got the auto light popping on and off, motion sensor. But yeah, this is looking real good right now. Today I just got a saw cut. Saw cut this up, be out of here within probably about an hour, get it all saw cut, cleaned up, hour and a half, and then hit the highway. I'm going to use a blue chalk line to snap out all the saw cuts, and that's the color you want to use. You could use, I think there's a purple that comes off pretty easy, but I use the blue. I know it comes off. If you use a red, it's a permanent stain. So you don't want to use red when you're snapping out lines. So this was about 15 feet wide, and it was 60 feet long or so, 65 maybe. We got a cut all the way down the middle, so that's going to be about 7.5 feet on each side of this cut. Sometimes I'll rig up a vacuum on this, but this concrete is still so fresh, it's almost moist enough to where it's not really throwing a lot of dust up. And I'm cutting 1 inch deep on everything. I just followed the existing joints on the driveway, brought those through. Then I put one at the columns, one on each side of the AC. And I think that was about it. Now this is the true test when you start washing it down, just to see if you got good drainage. And we did. I was real happy with it. So we're cleaning the concrete and we're water curing all at the same time. Day 4 has come to a close and we have a beautiful job. That line is straight as an arrow. Take a look at that. It doesn't get any straighter than that. I don't know. I don't care how you do it. That's perfect. Let's look at this one over here. Same thing. Perfect. Good drainage here. We got a high point right here where the new gate will be going. So the water breaks to the rear, into the front from this point. You see here, she all drains good. Unfortunately, we had to leave that AC pad right there, but the elevation was solid on it, so it kind of worked. And those things, to move and replace them, to remove that concrete pad, you're looking at about $800 additional for someone HVAC to come out here and move that unit. So we did good on this, got it done under budget and perfection. All right, that about wraps up this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, and share it if you can. It'll help push this out there so everybody can learn how to do concrete the right way. Have a good one. Bye.